Let me take you back to the 1998 Belgian Grand Prix, a race that's gone down in history as one of the most chaotic, dramatic, and unforgettable events in Formula 1. If you weren't there, you'd almost think it was too wild to be true. On that late summer day at Spa-Francorchamps, the combination of unpredictable weather, a disastrous start, and an infamous crash not only shaped the race, but also the course of the entire season. This race didn't just shake up the standings. It's the kind of event that gets talked about decades later. So what made this one so special? We're going to break down the drama, from the epic 13-car crash that shocked the world to Michael Schumacher's fiery confrontation with David Coulthard. Buckle up, this is one story you won't forget. To understand how wild things got in Belgium, you've got to know the context. By the time the Formula 1 circus rolled into Spa, the 1998 season was already packed with tension. Mika Häkkinen, the Finnish McLaren driver, was leading the championship battle against Ferrari's Michael Schumacher. Häkkinen had 5 wins under his belt that season, and McLaren's MP4-13 car was a beast. One of the fastest on the grid, equipped with the ultra-powerful Mercedes V10 engine. But even with McLaren's dominance, Schumacher was right there, keeping the fight alive. Ferrari's F300 was solid, but it wasn't quite on McLaren's level. However, Schumacher, known for his ability to extract the absolute maximum from his car, kept himself firmly in the title hunt. As they arrived at Spa, Häkkinen had 77 points in the championship, while Schumacher was close behind with 70 points, making every race critical for both drivers. Spa, a 7-kilometer circuit winding through the Ardennes forest, is one of the most legendary tracks in the sport, known for its fast, flowing corners like Eau Rouge, Ray Delon, and Blanchimont. It's a place where cars and drivers are pushed to the absolute limit. But it's not just the layout that makes Spa special. It's the unpredictable weather. Nestled in the forest, the track is notorious for its microclimates. You can have rain pouring down on one part of the track, while on another section remains bone dry. This was going to be a massive factor in what was about to unfold. By Saturday's qualifying, the weather had stayed dry, and McLaren locked out the front row, with Mika Häkkinen securing pole position by just 0.16 seconds ahead of his teammate David Coulthard. Behind them, Damon Hill qualified third for Jordan, while Michael Schumacher lined up fourth. Hill's Jordan teammate, Rolf Schumacher, started 6th, with Eddie Irvine in the other Ferrari right behind. It was shaping up to be a competitive race, but what no one could predict was how much the weather would flip things upside down. Sunday arrived with dark clouds hanging over Spa. The forecast had initially predicted dry conditions, but as race time approached, the rain started to fall, turning the track into a slick, dangerous mess. As the cars lined up on the grid, the rain intensified. At this point, you could feel the tension building. Everyone knew the conditions were treacherous, but no one could have predicted just how disastrous the start would be. When the lights went out, Häkkinen made a clean getaway from the pole, but just a few seconds into the race, disaster struck. As the field roared down towards Eau Rouge, David Coulthard, running second, lost control in the spray. Eddie Irvine's Ferrari clipped the back of Coulthard's McLaren, and Coulthard spun across the track. With visibility near zero due to the spray from the cars in front, there was nothing anyone could do. What followed was one of the most spectacular and terrifying crashes in Formula 1 history. In just a few seconds, chaos unfolded as 13 cars piled into each other in a scene of utter carnage. Johnny Herbert, Olivier Panis, Rubens Barrichello, and several others were caught up in the mayhem. Barrichello's Stewart car hit the barriers hard, while Herbert's Sauber was destroyed in the impact. Pieces of carbon fiber, wheels, and bodywork flew across the track, creating a wall of wreckage. Miraculously, despite the scale of the crash, no one was seriously injured. It was a testament to how far Formula 1 had come in terms of safety, with the strength of the monocoque chassis and advanced crash barriers preventing what could have become a tragic outcome. The race was immediately red flagged. It took nearly an hour to clear the debris and prepare the surviving cars for a restart. Out of the 22 cars that started, 13 were involved in the crash. But only 18 would take to the restart as some were too damaged to continue, including Barrichello, Panis, and Salo. After the track was cleared, the race restarted, but this time with fewer cars. Damon Hill, driving for Jordan, made a brilliant start and jumped ahead of McLaren to take the lead into La Source. For Hill, who hadn't won a race since 1996, this was a golden opportunity. But while Hill was out in the front, Michael Schumacher was charging up the field. By the time the race resumed, the rain had returned, and that's when Schumacher, known for his wet weather mastery, came alive. In no time, he passed Hill and started building an enormous lead. At one point, Schumacher's lead over Hill was more than 30 seconds. and it looked like he was on course for a crucial victory that would bring him within striking distance of Hakkinen in the championship. The Ferrari F300, although not the fastest car in dry conditions, perfectly suited to the wet. Schumacher's ability to find grip where others couldn't made him almost unstoppable. Behind him, Mika Hakkinen's race went from bad to worse. After his early spin, he collided with Johnny Herbert's Sauber, which forced both drivers to retire. With Hakkinen out of the race, Schumacher had a clear path to the top of the standings until disaster struck on lap 26. As Schumacher was lapping David Coulthard, things went horribly wrong. The rain was coming down hard, and Coulthard was running much slower, having already been involved in the first lap crash. Coulthard was trying to let Schumacher through, but in the spray, Schumacher couldn't see him clearly. As Schumacher moved to pass, he smashed into the back of Coulthard's McLaren. The impact ripped the front right wheel off Schumacher's Ferrari, and his race was over in an instant. At the time of the crash, Schumacher had a 40-second lead over Hill and was cruising to victory. His frustration was palpable. Schumacher stomped back to the pits, still wearing his helmet, and headed straight for the McLaren garage. He was furious, accusing Coulthard of deliberately slowing down to cause the crash. The confrontation became so heated that team members from both Ferrari and McLaren had to intervene to prevent things from escalating. It was one of the most dramatic moments in Formula One history. Schumacher, at the peak of his frustration, calling out a rival in a public and heated clash. Hill's victory and Jordan's triumph. With Schumacher out of the race, Damon Hill found himself back in the lead. This was Hill's moment. His last win had been 2 years prior, and now, in the wet and wild conditions of Spa, he was leading again. Behind him, his Jordan teammate Rolf Schumacher was closing in, but team orders were issued to prevent any infighting. Eddie Jordan wanted to secure his team's first ever win, and a 1-2 finish would be a dream result. Rolf, eager to prove himself, wasn't thrilled about the decision, but he followed orders. Hill kept his composure in the remaining laps, driving cautiously to avoid any mistakes. When the checkered flag waved, Damon Hill crossed the line to win the 1998 Belgian Grand Prix, with Rolf Schumacher finishing second, giving Jordan their first 1-2 finish in Formula One history. For Hill, it was sweet redemption. For Jordan, it was a moment of pure triumph. A small, independent team standing on the top step of the podium for the first time. The 1998 Belgian Grand Prix left an indelible mark on Formula One. For Michael Schumacher, the collision with Coulthard was a huge blow. At the time of the crash, he was on track to close the gap to Mika Hakkinen in the championship, but with his retirement, Hakkinen maintained his lead, and Schumacher's hopes of winning his third world title took a significant hit. Hakkinen would go on to win the championship that year with 100 points to Schumacher's 86. The race also had a lasting impact on safety and race management. The 13-car pileup at the start was a stark reminder of the dangers of racing in wet conditions, particularly at high-speed circuits like Spa. In the years that followed, Formula One introduced stricter regulations to improve safety in wet weather. The use of the safety car became more frequent in similar conditions, and drivers were given clearer instructions on how to manage lapping situations to avoid another Schumacher-Coulthard scenario.